Welcome to the Heart-Led Business Show, where compassion meets commerce and leaders lead with love. Join your host, Tom Jacobs, as he delves into the insightful conversations with visionary business leaders who defy the status quo, putting humanity first and profit second. From heartfelt strategies to inspiring stories, this podcast is your compass in the world of conscious capitalism. So buckle up and let your heart guide your business journey.
Welcome back to another episode of the Heart-Led Business Show, where we unravel the threads of passion and purpose in entrepreneurship. And today we have the lovely, wonderful Katie Kirklin on the mic, a certified functional nutrition counselor and registered nurse. Katie's journey has taken her from the bustling halls of healthcare to creating a heart-led business that's all about digging deep into health and nourishment. So get ready to be inspired as we talk about her adventures, insights, and the power of personalized wellness. Katie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And I'm really excited to talk to you because I totally geek out on nutrition and functional medicine and all that. And so I'm really excited to talk to you about that specifically, but more also your journey and having a heart-led business and how you balance profit and being heart-led at the same time. But first, the question I always ask everybody is, what's your definition of a heart-led business?
Yeah. So for me, having a heart-led business really comes down to alignment. I have two little kids, and so juggling, family and my business is really, it's, at the core of my business. And it's also why I started a business, is so that I have the opportunity to spend more time with my kids. And so it's just so important that I feel aligned with the work that I do every day and really honoring my own capacity for the work that I do. And so I really define a heart-led business for me as one that's built from a regulated physiology, from alignment and sustainability, rather than one built from stress, urgency, and burnout. And that's something that I really practice with my clients too. Is there's a quote by, his name is Alex Howard. He's a doctor who studies nervous system regulation, and he says you cannot heal a body if it's not in a healing state. And so I feel the same way about running my business. I can't run a successful business if I am not in an aligned and regulated state.
I love that. That's a really key distinction, I think, for a lot of people. And I think I haven't heard that yet in 145 episodes. So that's amazing. The alignment piece that comes up quite a bit, but you can't run your own business if you're not regulated yourself and in alignment. So I love that.
I can't run a business that's going to be sustainable for me. Yeah.
So talk to me about that alignment piece. How does that feel? And how do you know when you're not in alignment? And just, you can talk personally, but I think we hear the word alignment and it feels good and we're aligned with our business, but how do we know? Right?
Yeah. That's something I focus so much on with my clients, is teaching them how to really listen to their body and pay attention to symptoms. And so that's something I have had to do with my own body and with my own decision making. And if I'm feeling, stress, we will never avoid stress. There's the good stress, the you stress, and there's also stress that's not so good. But really paying attention to that stress, and if it is leading to burnout or even physical symptoms, so many people experience health issues because they're just powering through and really not honoring what their body is telling them. So really paying attention. I love the metaphor of the frog in the boiling water. Sometimes people build up symptoms over time where they don't even notice that, having this brain fog every afternoon is actually not normal. you might think it's normal because it's your norm, but like let's honor that and really pay attention and look at that as an opportunity, as a message from the body where we need to pay attention and take some action. And I feel like when we're making decisions in business that are not from this grounded, regulated space, our body is going to let us know if it's not working. We just have to really learn to pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the key is paying attention, right, with our bodies. So, I'm sure you've gone through this. So, do you mind sharing like what that's felt for you personally when you knew that you were out of alignment and then what you did to correct that?
Yeah. You know, there have been, I would say, I feel like actually my very best example is more in my personal life than my business, although I
Sure.
have had to pay attention to that in my business. But like one example in a past relationship, my body was just like fully rejecting moving forward in that relationship. And I was like, I really need to pay attention to this. And, on paper, things looked great, but I was getting signals from my body that this is not right. But I think the same thing can happen in business, especially when we start getting sick. We start having symptoms. And just honoring that and not just brushing it off, not saying, "Oh, I get a headache every day, so I just take ibuprofen and I go on with it." Like, no, you shouldn't need to take ibuprofen every day. I
Right.
actually went through that myself, I mean, as early as high school. I was getting
Oh,
headaches every single day, and I thought it was normal for a 16-year-old to need to take ibuprofen every day,
oh,
and
jeez.
then yeah, I was like, "This
Did
is just
a
my
did an
norm."
ulcer too, right?
Yeah, yes, and it wasn't until I made some diet and lifestyle changes that had nothing to do with the headaches, but as a byproduct, those headaches disappeared, and I was like, "Whoa, I didn't realize that wasn't normal until they went away." Um,
And
and so, yeah, I I think sometimes it helps to have a practitioner, take kind of an objective look at you and help you reflect on your whole story, which is what I do with clients. We sit down, we look at their whole life story from their birth till up until now to learn, you know, every part of their story and how that is impacting their health. Um, and and when we do that, it allows us to, get kind of a 360 view
mm,
and really really recognize what might be going on for their body that doesn't necessarily have to be happening.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really great to get that history in there. So then there can be those norm points where you can say, oh, this is normal, this is not normal. And now you can start to map that. Going back to the alignment issue again, I don't want to drop it too quickly. But
Yeah.
I know personally for me, when tasks in the business feel heavy and I want to do something else like laundry, which I hate to do. I know there's something wrong in the business in terms of I'm going to want to do laundry and not deal with this, right?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
big clue for me that something it's feeling heavy, it's feeling like it's like pushing a boulder up a hill. And
Yeah.
there's times in business that's going to happen anyway naturally because
Yeah.
that's just business. But if it happens every day with the same type of thing, then for me anyway, that's a time to look into the business and like, why am I feeling this way every time I do this particular thing? Or
Yeah.
this aspect of my business, it's draining me more than it's fulfilling me. And so
Absolutely.
that's one thing that I've been really focused on in the last like 5 years, and it's completely transformed the business and it just feels
Yes.
a lot lighter. And I know doing podcasts as well, a lot of podcasters I talk to, they're like, "Oh, gotta do another podcast. Got
Yeah.
like, edit it. I have to do this. I have to, and they're talking about all the back end stuff. I'm like, have somebody else do that. Like,
Right.
like
Ab
I hate editing. I don't like to write. I don't like all this other stuff. I have
Yeah.
somebody else do that stuff. And
Yeah.
I just walk up to a microphone and talk to really great guests like you. And
Yeah.
it's that brings me joy. Now, if I had to do everything else to it, there'd probably be only 3 episodes and not
Yeah.
100.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and so you've done exactly what I'm describing. You've identified, what feels heavy and
Yep.
what really isn't feeling aligned for you, and you're problem solving, which is what I do with clients. It's really cool. I actually have some experience with Six Sigma. My
Oh, good.
dad my dad is a Lean Six Sigma guy, and so I'm certified in it, and it's so interesting in talking with him about how I problem solve with clients. It's really the same process we use to problem solve in business. First we have to define what what the problem is and recognize those problems, and then measure them if we can, and then analyze, which I in the functional nutrition world, we analyze, we assess, do a really thorough assessment, and then improve, make recommendations, and then we control and continue to track and reassess. And it sounds like you did that,
Good
whether
passion.
intentionally following that process or not, that's what you did. And
Yeah.
so I think whenever we recognize something in the business that feels like a boulder, as you described, that's an opportunity to pause and say, "Okay, what is the root of what I'm feeling here? So this feels like a boulder. Does it have to? Can I dig down and make some changes where I can still use this process in business, but make some tweaks so it feels much more doable?"
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And a good process to follow as well. Yeah, I'm very much a process person. So
Yeah.
um, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about your business. Give me just an overview of what your business is and what makes it heart led to you.
Yeah, as you know, my background is in nursing, and I now work one-on-one with individuals doing functional nutrition counseling. So I work a lot of people come to me with different symptoms, or maybe they want to lose a few pounds, or they just want to improve their health, have more energy. So I work with people to make diet and lifestyle changes. So, functional
Okay.
nutrition is my title, my certification, but that doesn't fully describe the breadth of the work that I do. It's a very holistic approach. So, I help people looking not just at nutrition, but at their lifestyle too. Are they sleeping? Are they drinking? Are they connecting with their community? Are they moving their body? And so, one way I really like to describe functional nutrition is using this visual of a tree. So, if someone is experiencing symptoms like maybe anxiety or overwhelm, or it could be a skin symptom, eczema, acne, or a gut issue, bloating, heartburn, any of those symptoms I think of as a
Mm.
branch of a tree. And the work that I do is on the root level and in the soil. So there
Oh,
are three main roots that I focus on, and those are inflammation, digestion, and genes or genetics. And then we also work in that terrain. And so what's really beautiful about this work is we're not necessarily targeting symptoms, like it's not a band-aid solution. We are doing this foundational work, and the foundation, when you shift that terrain, as a byproduct, those symptoms start to resolve naturally. And,
yeah.
if you think of an actual tree, if you have a tree and its branches are starting to suffer, you're not going to fix it by just going to the branches. You know that
Right.
you're gonna have to check out the roots in the soil. And when
Yeah.
you address that, and you're also addressing the terrain, is it getting sunlight? Is it getting clean water? Is it planted in the right place?
Yeah.
That's really what what makes a difference. And it has just been so incredible to see when we are truly focusing on that foundation, what an impact it can have for someone's health.
Yeah, and that's what I love about functional medicine and just getting to the root cause. So again, you don't band-aid it and have to keep replacing the band-aid. I love it when there's some functional orthopedic docs that I work with, and like cortisone is it's a steroid that people put into their joints to combat the
Yeah,
pain. And it doesn't work for longer than 3 months or 6 months, but it also degenerates the cartilage in your joint at the same time.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like when you ask somebody, "What did you do?" "Oh, I had a cortisone shot," and it's hurting again? Yeah, it wore off. So why
right,
would you do it again if it's not gonna permanently fix it? Like, you're just
right,
band-aiding. And I was like,
right,
"Yeah, that's a really good question to ask people, is, why do you keep doing it if you know it doesn't work?" It's that's insanity, right? It's doing the same thing
yeah,
over and over again. And
right,
when you, like, get the education, "Oh, let's look at what the root cause is. It's
right,
not even my shoulder, it's my hip is out of alignment. Let's get that into alignment. Now my shoulder's fine and everything works much
right.
better." Yeah,
Right,
it's
there's some
so it
inflammation going on. What can we do about that inflammation? Sometimes
yeah,
the answer is way more simple too.
yeah,
I always say that a lot of the work I do with people it is rather simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy.
right.
Yeah.
That's anytime there's lifestyle change, it's never easy for a
Right,
lot of people. Yeah.
right.
So let's talk about your business then. And so what prompted you to start the business and what was that process like for you in the initial phases of starting the business?
Yeah. Oh, I feel like this business was so many years in the making for me, but I just didn't know what it was going to look like. I would say I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. My dad is an entrepreneur, and I always wanted to start my own business, but it took me a while to figure out what that would look like. So I got a degree. My first degree is in kinesiology and health, and because I was very passionate about nutrition and fitness from a young age, but I didn't really see a clear path to starting a business or to just a career straight out of my undergrad. So I went and got a master's science in nursing, and I felt like, okay, nursing is a safe, that's a safe, secure bet. Let's do that because I just didn't know what else to do at that time. And
Yeah.
what I discovered is that what I wanted to do ultimately was not something I could find in a job description. It was something I would have to create. And so for a while, I was looking for it in a job description, specifically in nursing jobs, but I learned quickly, and I am so grateful for my time as a nurse. It is definitely something, a part of my identity now, and something I will always hold on to. But I learned quickly that nursing, for the most part, it is working within the conventional medical model, and
Yeah.
it is it is more reactive, and we're caring for the sick, which is a beautiful beautiful work, but ultimately I knew I wanted to be working in the preventive space. And so it didn't take me long to realize, okay, this doesn't really exist in the world of nursing as nursing is right now. And so I eventually, through my own health journey, found my way into this more integrative functional space. And and I remember the first time I heard functional nutrition and heard it described as there's no one size fits all, and
Yeah.
everything in the body is connected and all things matter. And I remember thinking like, "Oh, this is it. This is what I've been searching for." Because in my own health journey, I really believed in the power of nutrition, but I was always trying very specific diets. Like, I tried paleo for a while, I tried vegan, and just none of those were really sustainable, and they weren't really addressing me as an individual. But when I heard that functional nutrition, there's no one size fits all, I was like, "Okay, that makes sense. Everyone is unique, and the approach to helping someone heal through nutrition and lifestyle is going to be different for each individual." when I found that, I was like, this is it. This is the direction I'm going to go with my business. This is how I want to help people.
That's
So yeah, and then there was no looking back.
yeah.
I found the certification. I think I signed up the same day and haven't looked back since.
That's great. Now, what about the mindset of charging what you're worth? Did you ever struggle with not charging enough and then I can't pay my bills now? And then
Yeah.
you're like, wait a second, I need to charge. What was the transition for you on
Yeah,
that front?
absolutely. That's been a progression for me for sure. I remember starting out, I actually picked a number that I was a little uncomfortable with. And looking
Okay.
back, I have since more than doubled that number for what I charge my individual clients. And but I did feel like looking back, I think I kind of needed to go through that progression to
Mhm.
really appreciate the value I was giving my clients. And also I learned that as I charged more, I could work with fewer clients and I could provide more value to each client.
Yeah.
I also learned that when someone is investing in themselves, they're going to get better results because they're going to follow my recommendations more. And part of that journey was also my own health journey when I decided to work with a practitioner on my own health and
Sure.
I realized what I was willing to invest. And I was
Ah,
like, "Okay, if I'm willing to invest this, someone else will be willing to invest in themselves too,
yeah.
if they believe that I am the right person to help them."
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, that's good. And what a good mindset. How long did it take you to shift your mindset and get to the point where you are today?
Yeah, so I my business is still pretty new. It's only about 2 years old,
Great.
but I would say that it has taken me about I recently I was kind of progressively increasing my prices, but I would say it took me about a year and a half to get to a point where I was like, "Okay, I think this is probably the max I would charge for the foreseeable future."
Yeah.
So yeah, it took me time and it took experience and really building confidence and proving to myself, "Okay, I can do this. I can get people amazing results." And and also, it took some learning on my part to see that when I'm working with a higher volume of clients, I can't deliver the same level of service I can as when I'm working with fewer. And so that
Yeah.
was a big learning experience for me, and that really helped push me to increasing my pricing too.
Oh, nice. Good, good. What words of advice would you give to somebody that you wish you would have had 2 years ago when you started your business?
Uh, I would say so I am so grateful. I actually found a business coaching program that was very specific to the work that I do early on, and that really helped me get my business off the ground. But there was one thing she always said, and it was take imperfect action. And
Really
that is
important.
something I always have to remind myself is take imperfect action. Don't dwell on things that don't necessarily matter or that you can potentially change in the future. Like, even something as basic as my business name, I was like, "All right, I'm not dwelling on the name. It's Katie Kirkland Nutrition, moving on."
Right,
And
good.
I was like, "I could always change that in the future if I want to," but just not being afraid to take imperfect action
Yeah.
has I mean, if I hadn't listened to that and really taken that to heart, I would not my business never would have gotten off the ground
Oh
because
my
I
gosh.
never would have said, "Okay, my logo's perfect, my messaging is perfect, my offer is nothing will ever be perfect." And even with I have a newsletter that I send out, and even with those, I could tweak an email for 6 hours or for 1 hour, you know?
Right.
And it's just like, "All right, this is good enough. It's going to deliver value. It's not going to cause harm. Let's get it out." And just really keeping that mindset that I mean, everything it's all about continuous improvement.
Yeah.
So just being willing to move forward even when things don't feel exactly perfect is,
Yeah.
I would say, it's the best advice I ever got.
That it truly is the best advice. Yes. So thank you for sharing that as well. I've worked with so many new business owners, and it's so frustrating when they say, I first have to get my logo, my website, I have to get my LinkedIn profile just perfect. I get
Yeah.
to this and this. And I always ask, how long do you think that's going to take? I don't know, like 3 months, 4 months or something like that. I was like, how about getting a client like next
Right.
week? How about doing
Mhm.
that? Like, you want to
Right.
practice, right? Yeah. How
Yeah.
about getting a client? I can't get a client without a website. Wait, you can't get a client without a website? What happened
Right.
in like 1980? Nobody had
Right.
websites. Still got
Right.
clients, right?
I know
So,
plenty of practitioners that get plenty of clients without websites currently.
of
All you
course,
need all you need is a little PDF or yeah,
a
or a
phone,
referral. Yeah, word of
yeah,
mouth.
a phone and an
That
email address, maybe.
yeah, that's actually one other thing I will say has been huge for me is telling people what I do. If someone says, "What do you do?" Not being afraid to it might be a little bit out of my comfort zone, or I know, especially in the health space, you might think, "Oh, I don't know if I know enough. What if someone's gonna ask me a question I don't know the answer to?" And just being willing to step out of that comfort zone and take that risk that it's okay if someone asks you a question and you don't know how to answer it. But
Yeah,
but if you don't tell people what you do, then no one's ever gonna know.
that's right. Yeah. That's awesome. Great advice. Thank you for that, Katie.
Thank you. Thank
As we're wrapping up here, how can people find out more about your business and you and what you do?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they can visit my website. It's katiekirklin.com. And I also have a special gift for your listeners.
All right.
It's a guide I put together. It's called 3 Hidden Reasons Your Business Feels Hard. And it's all about taking a step back and looking at physiology. It's amazing how how much better someone can feel, how much more energized, how quickly someone can experience relief from symptoms like brain fog or feelings of burnout just through some really simple diet and lifestyle shifts.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It makes a huge difference. I know I've gone through that several times in my life. And it's definitely made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for providing that to the audience. I'm sure everybody will get a lot of benefit from it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. My pleasure.
Yeah. And thank you, Katie, for spending the time with us today and sharing your wisdom and your journey. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tom. I really enjoyed being here with you today.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, dear listeners, for watching or listening to the show today. I appreciate you tuning in. And make sure you're checking out everything that Katie's doing. We're going to put all those links down into the show notes, especially that special PDF that she's providing to us as well. So make sure you go down to the show notes, click on that link, grab that PDF, and find out the 3 reasons why your business feels hard right now. I know I'm going to need to look at that. Not that it feels hard right now. At some point, I'm sure it will again. Make
Right.
sure you're checking that out. And when you're down there clicking around, if there's a review button, which I know there is, make sure you give the show a good rating and review. It just helps spread the word about the Heart-Led Business Show and helps people feel better about starting a business that's all about their heart and about making profit at the same time. So until next time, lead with your heart.
You've been listening to the Heart-Led Business Show, hosted by Tom Jacobs. Join us next time for another inspiring journey into the heart of business.